and welcome to QEP Q&A. I am Patrice Williams-Shuford, Quality Enhancement Plan Director here at Northwest Florida State College, and today I'm joined in the studio by Dr. Jessica Temple. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. I appreciate your being here. And today what we're going to talk about is peer reviews. It is one of our 15 active and engaged learning strategies that we have defined for the institution. So I had an opportunity, let me just say first, to come into your class a couple of times as a part of our observational protocol and to see you implement peer reviews. And so before we get into that, I'd just like to know, what courses do you teach here at the college?
So I teach primarily English composition 1101 and 1102, along with all the creative writing courses. I've also taught the integrated reading and writing.
Excellent. I won't ask if you have a preference, but do you have a preference?
Well, I love creative writing, so that's kind of my first love. So that's probably my favorite. But I also really like Comp 2 because I do read and write about literature, so that's enjoyable as well.
Okay, and so I just want to ask, are there particular points during the semester when you implement or utilize peer reviews with your students?
So with my composition classes, I do it with every essay. So in Comp 1, that's 4. In Comp 2, that's 2 per semester. And then for creative writing, I do it with everything that they write. So if they're writing stories, poems, or creative nonfiction, I do one for each of the things that they turn in.
So lots of peer review.
Lots of peer review. Mm-hmm.
Good.
It's a staple for me.
Yes, and I got to see that in action, and it seems like the students were really engaged in it. And what I really loved about it is that you were engaged with them. Much like I do with my classes when I do peer review, you rotated around to make sure that they were actually doing the peer review, which I think is so important for that strategy. So how effective do you feel that it has been as a strategy?
I think it's fairly effective. Students seem to learn a lot from it. I see improvements over the course of the semester as they get feedback from different people. And that's one of the things that students continually say at the end of the semester when I have them do reflection, what was useful for you in this class? They always say peer review. They always say, I learned something new, or I got a new perspective, or I never realized what I was doing until somebody pointed it out to me, and I, have corrected that because of the peer review. So I think it's a really effective learning strategy.
Yes, so do I. So do you mind kind of walking us through, what are the steps in the peer review? Do you give them a handout, or do you post something on the screen? How does the peer review happen?
Okay, so I teach both in person and online, so it's a little bit different in each of those strategies. For in-person classes, I usually have the questions in Canvas for them, and so they can pull it up on their own screens, but I also put it up on the screen in front of the room for people who don't have a computer in front of them. And it is downloadable. I do it as just a Word document, so they can download and fill in if they want to swap their answers with the other person. That way they can do it, or if they want to handwrite it, however they want to do it, I kind of leave that part up to them. But I pair them up differently each time, so they're not staying with the same partner throughout the semester. They get a different partner, sometimes 2 people. Sometimes I group them in 3, so they each do 2 reviews and get feedback from 2 people as well. And I switch it up. I think when you were there, I did something probably really silly with birthdays or something. I try to sort of make a game out of it. So it's a different way each time.
I think you did heights, maybe?
Heights, maybe. I do heights. I do birthdays. Sometimes if it's near a holiday, I'll do what's your favorite treat to eat on Easter, or what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish, or whatever, and pair them up that way. So it's kind of fun that way. And then they've got their partner, they switch papers, they read first, they answer the questions, and then I encourage them to talk about it, to discuss their essay with their partner. So ask questions about your essay that you want them to answer. If you didn't understand something in their essay, let them know and kind of talk it out and see how they might improve that. And then, like you said, I circulate and help answer some of those questions as well. Or if they're not quite sure what I'm asking in some of those questions, I do it that way. For the online classes, I do that through Canvas. It's got a nice feature where you can just check a peer review box. And so I have it automatically assign them 2 partners. And so they will read 2 and they will get feedback from 2 people. And that kind of helps in case somebody doesn't do it, which I found sometimes online, somebody won't do their peer reviews. And so then that person that they were partnering with didn't get feedback. So I do 2, so that kind of helps eliminate that problem. At least they get something.
Get a safety net person.
Exactly. And they just, they've got the same set of questions that my in-person classes do, and they just respond as a reply to that student submission with their answers.
I love it. Peer review, one of those quick, I won't say easy, but one of those quick strategies that you can implement. And it's almost applicable to any discipline. It doesn't really matter. It's an opportunity for students to get together and look at each other's work.
Yes.
A lot of times I think that faculty think about essays or some piece of writing when they think about peer reviews, but you can really review anything. It could be math problems that you review.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think you could, I always use it for writing, obviously, because that's what I teach, but I think you could do it with math homework or with a science lab. You know, what did you find and what did I find?
Right.
And how did those compare? And did one of us do it wrong, or did we kind of just do it different ways, and that's okay?
Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about peer reviews. Are there any other strategies that you frequently implement in your writing classes?
There are lots of different strategies. I'm going to tell you about a new one that I've just started doing that I'm excited about. So I recently learned about Poll Everywhere.
Yes,
from Bobby
yes.
She used that in a group that I was in, and I thought, how can I use that in my classes? At first, I was like, I don't really think that would work for me. I don't know what I would use it for. And then all of a sudden, last week, I was like, oh, I can have them put problem sentences, like things that they are struggling with in their essays, up on the board, and we can work them out that way because it's anonymous.
Right.
So I've had them. Yeah, I've had them before. You know, everybody, you know, give me a sentence that you're struggling with. Let's work it out. And some students are kind of hesitant to say, like, here's this terribly worded sentence that I came up with, and I need help. But in Poll Everywhere, it can be anonymous.
Right.
So I have them do, you know, a sentence that's a problem for them, or I've also done it now with their citation. So give me one citation, and let's go through and make sure that your citation is exactly right in MLA format. And if it's not, you'll know how to fix the rest of them. And my students really, really liked that. And that could be done before or after a peer review at kind of any stage in the process. And I'm thinking for next semester, I'm probably going to do that with like ideas for topics. You know, what are you thinking of writing about? Throw your ideas up here, and we'll kind of, you know, everybody can vote up or vote down if they think it's a good topic or not. Could be used all the way through.
I just want to share, this is the last QEP Q&A of this academic year, but I do want to, and I've never shared anything that I've done, but I will share that since you brought that up, I used Poll Everywhere with my students when they were thinking of controversial or argumentative topics for their profile essays. And I can say that I think that if I had just asked verbally, okay, what are some topics that you're thinking about? Because some of the topics were ones that they were a little antsy about mentioning, that they would not have shared that. But I did a Poll Everywhere, and I did the open-ended one where when they put in the response, it just pops up on the screen. And it was so very effective because some topics came up there, and I think some people in the room were thinking, oh yeah, I wish, you know, that's my topic. I'm glad that it's up there, and now my classmates know, but I didn't have to say it. So it can be effective for something like that. I did use it for that. It was very effective. And the thing that I like about Poll Everywhere is that it's living. You know, they can go back to it and they can see it later. Yeah. Yes.
It's a great tool.
So marrying Poll Everywhere and peer reviews, I always like to talk about marrying strategies, I think is really good if you can do that. So last thing, and this was not a planned thing, but I do want you to share that Northwest Florida State College, we're just coming off of Reads. Is there anything you want to share about how that was or who came to the campus?
Sure. So our Reads Week, if you don't know, is 1 week every year in the spring in April where we celebrate reading. So we encourage literacy and literary type events. Students have lots of opportunities to participate throughout the week. I think Candace Malatium, who set it up this year, did a really great job with fun stuff throughout the week. So we had a Read My Shirt Day. We had a Crazy Socks Day for Fox and Socks. We had a list of favorite authors or favorite quotes in the LRC that people could add to. All kinds of activities throughout the week. I think my favorite was the Blackout Poetry,
Oh, I saw that.
which was in the library downstairs, since they had a couple of old books and you could take a page and black out parts to create a poem with what's left, and that was really fun. And I brought my creative writing class over, and they loved that. So that was great. And then we wrap it up with a visiting author. This year was Naomi Shiab Nye, who is a poet as well as a YA fiction writer, and she does a little bit of memoir and short stories and all kinds of things now. She was wonderful. If you did not get a chance to meet her and hear her read, you missed out. And please come next year. I don't know who the author will be, but I'm sure it will be someone else who's just as wonderful, and you'll want to be there for that. So
thank you for sharing about that. It is a big deal that happens here on campus every April, and I knew you were involved, so I just wanted you to share about that. So thank you so much for spending some time here in the studio sharing about peer reviews. I love what you're doing in your classroom. I hope I get a chance to come back and observe the peer review in action, because every time I get something different from it. Before we end today's QEP Q&A, I would like to thank every single faculty member, full-time, adjunct, every administrator, every staff member, every person from another institution who helped us to make the Spring Faculty Forum 2023 an amazing event where faculty could learn from each other about strategies and lessons. Thank you so much for supporting that event. And because we're getting ready to end the semester and move into summer, I just want to say please have a beautiful and productive summer and find some time to relax. And as always, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.